Okay, Infinite Plane Radio, live, open phones for open minds, 3/12/2024. That was Warriors of the Plane, Cease the Sucking. Very powerful message there. We were joined by Pete Trippa, Frank Murr, the HBIC Portal Complex, Thirst, and Zinvalis. I sent out live notifications a moment ago, so let's go ahead. The title of tonight's live stream kind of says it all. The New Normal. The full title, actually. Let me go ahead and pull this up. I want to jog my memory. I was looking at all the news today, and I was like, how am I going to describe what we're going to talk about today when there's just so much going on? It's like the new normal, cannibal gangs, killer clouds, and black market baby organs. And we'll get to all of these in no particular order. But the new normal, of course, is really just the old normal. It's always been totally pliable. The minds of the masses have always been mush in the hands of the elite, and that has never been more true than right now. And we're just kind of witnessing this. So join me, says Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. You might have seen her at the State of the Union in a clown costume. She gave Jim Carrey a shock. You should have seen his look. You could see his face behind that rubbery Joe Biden mask when she walked up to him with her MAGA hat. And she had a shirt on. They're trying to make, that is on the right, they're trying to make a martyr out of some woman who was killed by a migrant. Not an illegal immigrant. Can't say that. Got to be respectful of the killer of the innocent jogger, if you believe the story. But it's conveniently close to another story in 2016 where Trump just suddenly conveniently finds a victim of a migrant, illegal immigrant killing, migrant crime, and then they can say, hey, look, we got to close the border. This guy's son was killed. This person's loved one was killed. It's just typical election year stuff. But anyway, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says, join me and special guest David uh, Deladin and Teresa Bukovinak for a hearing on investigating the black market of baby organ harvesting. And that's on Tuesday. Again, Congressman Greene. Sorry about that. We had a little glitch here. Yeah, so if you're in the area, there's a link right there if you want to check it out. Black market of baby organ harvesting. I'm only pointing this out because these are the same people who are trying to sell you on adrenochrome markets and child trafficking like 8 years ago. Save the children, save the children. And now they're just kind of recycling a lot of their old propaganda. Yeah, down in South says send dog the bounty hunter. I kind of thought about that. Just put on those wraparound shades and go find the traffickers yourself. Uh, Blair White says, when I saw that a cannibal named Barbecue had overthrown Haiti, I thought to myself, you couldn't write this crap. Then I saw his Freemasonry jewels and realized it was quite literally written to happen. Welcome to the show. Fascinating take there. And this is the leader of the cannibal gang in Haiti. And he's wearing a golden necklace with a Masonic square and compass. Does it mean he's not a cannibal? Are Masons forbidden from cannibalism? Maybe that's something that you find out about later. I mean, this is interesting. To me, it suggests all fakery. And I was wondering about this too, about the plausibility of the scenario. Are they really eating people? And the tendency is not to look. Like, I don't want to go on Twitter and look at videos of people eating people. And if you don't look, you're like, I'm just going to let someone else look and I'm just going to believe it. And I'm like, that's not good enough. We can't just believe it. So I went ahead and I decided I'm going to look. I'm going to look at any evidence of cannibalism. And I saw a video of a man, headless man, spit roasted. And they're spitting the thing and he's just roasting over an open flame, just like rotisserie chicken. And I'm like, that's disgusting. And a lot of people are reacting to it, a lot of influencers. And you can trust all these right-wing influencers because they never make stuff up for clicks. Well, no, actually, I double-checked it. I did a screen cap, right-click, Google image search, and guess what? Turns out that wasn't in Haiti. It was in Africa, and it was a year ago. So it wasn't cannibalism in Haiti today. No, it was from a year ago in Africa. And then I dug deeper. Turns out it wasn't even cannibalism in Africa. It was a Halloween prop in front of a restaurant in Africa a year ago, taken out of context, went viral, and then it was recycled for Haiti. Nothing in the news is new. It's all recycled. But my point is, I couldn't find any real cannibalism, and I'm wondering, is it not happening? Maybe it's not happening. Maybe the way they terrorize Americans with the threats of bowl cut shooters, mass shooters with mental illnesses, maybe in Haiti they use something else, like cannibal gangs. Maybe it's like just a regional psyop. Like that wouldn't work here in America. They probably couldn't pull that off here. But maybe in some areas, just depending on, I'm not sure, but looking at the fact that the leader of this cannibal gang network is named Barbecue is highly suggestive. Thank you, Multi C Dagger, again. We at the IPS appreciate the support. Copaesthetic says Aaron Rodgers is considering being RFK's VP. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was recently on Eddie Bravo, and I find it interesting how you have these sports figures who are just propaganda outlets for far right and conspiratorial stuff. Like they've grafted MMA, boxers, and football players onto the right controlled counter narrative. Like these are the anti-vaxxers, these are the Bohemian Grovers. They bring up all the Alex Jones claptrap, but it's coming from these various faces. But it's always on the right. And we were kind of wondering, what's the point of this? Why is it consistent? And I thought, well, maybe it's because they want to associate toxic masculinity. In fact, I had a conversation about this with Synchromorpheus this morning, and he said, in response to me, I said, alt media false awakening. Like you can listen to Andrew Tate and read Elon's tweets and, quote, wake up. And Synchro said, I think in addition to toxic masculinity, another reason why they have fighters spouting conspiracy talk is to associate it with brain damage. And listening to Ryan Garcia with his foul mouth rants and his just obscene story, which turned out to be totally fake, I think that might be the case because he does put a really negative spin on this area of discourse, as most of these mouthpieces kind of do. But I think they use the athletes because, again, it's masculinity, which to the left is, quote, toxic masculinity, which is true in the way they divide things. The left is toxic femininity. But then they also have, I think, the other element of comedians. A lot of comedians are involved in disseminating this misinformation. And I think that's because it makes it easier to engage in possibly ad hominem. And it may also be limited hangout operations. The way those work is, something's going to leak, so you leak it yourself. And you control the leak. And you can see who figures it out. And you can control how that information proliferates. You can contaminate it, you can misdirect it, and they could be using these various forums to take these ideas that are at the fringe and maybe perhaps manage them. Because we're looking at mind virus management here. And it's an ongoing process. We're actually living through what is, really tantamount to something of a holy war. And they're purifying the doctrines, they're purifying the minds, they're purifying the commons of cyberspace. Ted Striker 2112 said, I looked into the barbecue thing, seemed like it was 2 years ago, if we can believe that. Yeah, I can't believe it. I don't believe it, rather. I don't have enough information to believe it, but a lot of people do. A lot of people don't need a lot to be convinced of something that they already find believable. Now, that's in Haiti, but there's another cannibal that caught my attention I wanted to get to. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. I have so many notes to get to. Before I even say anything, just to show you all how consistent this is, and we're not cherry picking. This isn't any kind of approach involving fallacious reasoning here. Nobody here should know the answer to my next question. How old is the Russian cannibal who ate 2 children? The Russian satanic cannibal, who's also making headlines right now, at the same time that this one in Haiti is. Anyone care to guess how old this cannibal is? Okay, let's see if I can pull this one up. Putin pardons 2 cannibals who joined Russia's war in Ukraine. Yeah, Nikolay Ogolobiak, 33, Satanist whose cult murdered a string of teenagers. So you have a 33-year-old cannibal killer Satanic cannibal. How do you, what is it first? Cannibal Satanist or satanic cannibal? Satanic cannibal could also be redundant. But this satanic cannibal, his cult was murdering teenagers, and he was recruited to go after people in Ukraine. Of course, he's 33, and he and another cannibal were freed within the space of the last week. Named Gorin, seen smirking, looks like normal, like an Uber driver. Okay, well, anyway, if you guessed 33, Adoria the Explorer, 33, Diana South, 33, Lesko, 33. Satanable, yes, Lane Dion. There's something here. A consistent theme, though. Cannibalism in Haiti, cannibalism in Russia. I find them both to be very unbelievable. But one of them was a Freemason, the other was a Satanist. So maybe we are onto something. Maybe there is a pattern here. Richie from Boston has contracted something from the killer clouds. Get into that topic. He says they are upping the spraying by a lot. For the first time in 5 years, I have a cold, and it's lingered for 5 days. Hashtag 5G. Richie from Boston has caught the chemtrail AIDS. You hear him breathing like Darth Vader? Might
Yeah.
it's got to be that, right? It's got to be the cirrus clouds, 20,000 feet above your head. It couldn't possibly be the vaping you've been doing for 10 years. That's not Darth Vader, that's Richie from Boston saying that he got sick from those killer clouds. So I just responded, yeah, chemtrails give you AIDS. And they'll say, that's crazy to say that. How can you say that? How can you exaggerate? I'm sorry, but you're telling me that chemtrails are going to ignite the sky when they turn on the 5G, when they ramp it up to 11. You're telling me that chemtrails are blotting out the sun and changing the weather. So if I say it gives you AIDS, that's nothing compared to what you're saying. You're saying it's destroying the earth. Ray of Light says, is this live? No, you caught a replay, but you're having a coincidence. Coincidences do happen. 505-349-0420 if you want to call in and talk about anything. We had the State of the Union. We have already kind of covered that. Andrew Tate, I think he's getting arrested again, but here's a photo shoot. And Rambo Seek the Truth 101 correctly identified this as a photo shoot for merch. Andrew Tate going to jail again. Somehow, the right wing and the MAGAs, they were all about save the children, sex traffickers. We got to stop this. We need better values than what we have. We need traditional values. Women in the kitchen, having babies, not having OnlyFans. Like the right has this new vision, what I call MAGAstan. But for some reason, they are championing the opposite of what they claim to esteem. Andrew Tate, sex trafficker, alleged rapist, Illuminati insider, always flashing the signs, 33 Bugattis, gets into some kind of a spat with actor Greta Thunberg and goes to fake jail. And they're like, yeah, we trust this guy. He's one of ours. No, I don't know where they get off trusting this guy. So here he is being fake arrested with his Top G shirt, which I'm sure many of his followers are going to buy, with his friend, probably his brother, dressed up like a police officer. I mean, this is so fake. Does anybody think this is real? But it's interesting because you have layers of fakery. So like he's pretty fake, but then he has Ryan Garcia on who says that, oh yeah, I was at Bohemian Grove and I witnessed this mass rape ritual, and Andrew Tate's like, are you sure about that? Like that's a little too far. Like so, what's the deal here? Are the liars given parameters? You can only lie this far. Like why can't they just let it all go? But there seems to be something going on here with this, another PR stunt. Like, oh, we're being persecuted because they're telling too much truth. That's usually what they say. Like 1 minute they're against anybody trafficking children or doing any kind of weird stuff. Like they look at Tom Hanks in particular, and he's accused of doing these things. But then you have people actually credibly accused of doing these things, not just rumored on QAnon forums, and they turn a blind eye. Like Russell Brand. Look at all the stuff brought up about him. A lot of it pretty creepy, but that didn't set off any red flags for the people who are looking at Tom Hanks or any of these other innocuous celebrities. Lesko says Tate is an actor. He's obvious. Napoleon Wilson said got arrested by a Mortal Kombat baddie. Yeah, they needed someone like that to take him out because, of course, he's the top G. Dominic Spiato says, "Bitchy from Boston here. I believe." Oh, he's off YouTube finally. I stopped listening to him. I never really did, but I was kind of realizing the scam, and I'm surprised that some people are still pushing this whole chemtrail thing. No judgment here. We're using this as an illustration. People might wonder, why do you focus on certain issues like that and Mandela effects? And there's a reason why. It's because these are calculated deceptions. And I think there's an interesting overlap. Just a side note here. Some people will say, I remember the sun was yellow, now it's white. Okay? You remember it was yellow when you were a kid, and you're saying it changed. And some will say it's a Mandela effect. But then others will say, no, no, it was the chemtrails did it. So what changed the color of the sun, the chemtrails or the Mandela effect? A lot of overlap there. But I focus on these things because these are some of these topics that I think are there to sabotage any concerted attempt for a media or a group of individuals who are challenging the media, rather, a media savvy group of skeptics. And that has been really undermined from the very beginning of the so-called truth movement. So I make a distinction between Normieville, which is where most of our friends and family and most people are, and their worldview, and Trutherville, which is a little different than Woketown, but Woketown and Trutherville are actually in the same box, same level of the political horseshoe on opposite ends. But Normieville, everyone's in Normieville, and then if you go a little deeper, you hit Trutherville or Woketown. But where we are off-world stage, we don't really have those worldviews, but we understand where they're coming from. But I think it's important to keep these distinctions in mind. And what I'm saying is that those who would escape Normieville might become skeptics if it weren't for gatekeepers, guardrailers, misdirection, red herrings, all over the place. In fact, right now, HBO is about to release a major hit piece on Alex Jones over SH, which I'm not going to say it for obvious reasons. Major hit piece, his role in hype. Here's the point. It's called The Truth versus Alex Jones. I have the official trailer here. I posted this on my minds.com/Infinite Plane Society if you want to check it out for yourself. It's an HBO original. They just advertised this. The Truth versus Alex Jones chronicles the landmark defamation trials. This documentary premieres on March 26th. So it's a couple of weeks away. Now, the main thing about it is this. Jones was radicalized at Waco. And Waco is where the whole "they're gonna grab the guns" thing started. And that's been his main hype, the turning point. When they come to take the guns, the whole disarming thing. And this is standard anti-government paranoia, I've come to realize. And this paranoia is a huge part of the Psywar. It means that you can't just be an apathetic, non-involved observer. No, you got to be ready because you know too much and they're going to come, and it's like crying wolf. They're always crying wolf. They're being triggered by this issue and it never comes into fruition. It never happens. It's a nightmare scenario. And the power elite, they use Machiavellian logic here, and they realize, as Saul Alinsky said, rule number 9 in Rules for Radicals, the threat of the thing is more terrifying than the thing itself. So you have years and years of people clinging to their guns, prepping, building their bunkers for some doomsday that's never going to come. But my point of it is that fear is the objective. The fear of they're going to take our guns is the purpose. That is the mind virus they want to give those who wake up from Normieville so they huddle in Trutherville. They're not closer to the truth. They've been connected with others who are similarly paranoid about a similar delusion in a very calculated way, disseminated to all those who might otherwise wake up. So instead of waking up, they enter the nightmare. Woketown, Trutherville, it's a false awakening, both sides, and they're equal. And I am making a moral equivalency here at this point. I don't think that the red pillars have any better judgment than the wokers. I just don't at this point. And it's becoming increasingly clear. And that's why it's very important that we break away from any connection to Trutherville as far as we're not in the same universe. Like I'm not in the Marvel universe. I know it's fake. But if you understand fictional universes, it's basically a worldview that all of the authors are going to operate within when they write within it. So you have many different writers for Marvel, a lot of different people creating stories, but they're compatible. And that's because they share the same worldview, the Marvel universe. Well, I'm not in the MSM universe in the sense that the people who truly believe it are, which is why I'm not as stressed out. I'm not paranoid. Now, I have some other stuff I want to get to as well, and we will open phones. I'm just pointing out that they're going to be doing this major hit piece on Jones, and I think I know the reason now. The reason why they went after Jones with this, and this is all by design, is I think they wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be any true media skeptics. So here you had an opportunity for it, behind the scenes, exposing how it all works, and they shut that down. They shut down any organized body of auto hoaxers by getting them to organize behind Alex Jones, and then they took him down. Classic controlled opposition. They led the opposition in order to take it down. And that's why, again, we're breaking off from a lot of this stuff because we're looking at a flawed methodology. I mean, how do you approach news? I was watching the QAnon shaman who should be in jail if any of this stuff was real. He's a major league liar, obviously, and he probably smells like roadkill. That part's true. But he's out there on Twitter Spaces where I'm banned, and I was recently contacted by Twitter tech support because I said, "Look, my account is banned. I can't do Spaces. Why can't I do Spaces? I can't do Auto Hoaxology 101 live Spaces." And they said, "Check your phone, check your app." And it's not my phone, it's not my app because all of my other accounts do it, but my Infinite Plane Radio main account does not go live. And I suggested to the tech support via direct messaging that maybe Elon had me banned personally. And then they cut off contact with me. But my point is, the Q shaman's out there saying, PSYOP 101, when you watch the news, sometimes it's a false flag. And he's mal-educating truthers. He's saying, this is how you watch the news. You are the media now. It's such a psyop. It's basically giving people a flawed method of interpreting the news that always leads them into truther town. That's where it leads. And so when I'm countering some of these, what I consider to be orthodoxies, like trails in the sky being somehow some nefarious plot, what I'm doing is I'm going counter fake trutherism, or I'm going counter to the fake awakening. And I think the reason why is that those who can see through it and who can recognize they've been wrong, they've been duped, their egos are able to take that blow. Oh, I've been duped. I've been wrong. Look, if you can't admit that you're dupable, there's no help for you. This whole thing is a magic show. And that's my starting point, is I recognize how much I don't know and how deceivable I am. I mean, I'm trickable. We all are. And so understanding the tricks of the trade is huge here. And my point of it is many people will cling to beliefs because they've somehow attached their identity to it. Or their channels, their revenue stream. Even if Richie from Boston were given all the evidence in the world that he's overreacting or he's misinterpreting a phenomenon that is well understood and well documented and predictable, do you think that he has the strength of character to say, wow, I've been wrong this entire time. I've done more damage with my secondhand vape than any airplane in the history of aviation. No, he would never admit that. And those who won't admit it will stay in the Trutherville echo chamber, and I'm fine with that. There's no chemtrails over the IPS raft. There are cirrus clouds. And we can debate to the end of time, but the facts don't care about your feelings. You can have whatever opinions you want. And we have to stay fact-based and objective. And I think the issues that the people are mostly whining about whenever I attack them, they say, oh, leave my chemtrails alone. I'm talking about on Twitter. A lot of these people call me shills. They say I'm CIA, I'm NWO. It's like we're doing this for a reason, and you'll see why. We're trying to correct our thought process, not our beliefs. I don't care about the laundry list of what's fake and what's real. That's not the main thing here. It's about the methodology to how you absorb media and having skepticism as a primary. This is the main thing. Because when you've accepted the burden of proof, you allow them to depose your own judgment as a final arbiter of what you accept as real or not. They turned you into a dupe. That's my point. And this is an unduping process. Go through some comments. Copaesthetic said he got swatted. Oh yeah, that's right. Andrew Tate got swatted and they had journalists there with tripods and cameras ready. That's just insane. It's a photo op. And the way he was smiling and winking at the camera. Lean Dion says a fake is doing the rounds in the MSM at the moment. A Photoshop image of Kate Middleton and her family. Yeah, this is interesting. Getting ahead of media deconstruction. Fascinating. Fascinating take. Yeah, there's a story right now. Kate Middleton photo data reveals new details about controversial picture. It looked like one of the Sandy Hook family photos where the hands don't match up, missing arms. It's like it's not AI generated. It's bad Photoshop. All right, let's see here. Dominic says, I takes 3 times to listen to a-holes like Bitchy and Jonesy to make clear realizations. I'm listening to perspectives and anything but truth. No answers, just yelling, shouting, and coughing. Yeah, you can leave Alex Jonestown behind. You can survive without that Kool-Aid. You can survive without the Kool-Aid. Nautical bassist says, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer you a promotion of your channel. Thank you, I appreciate it. Please do. Dewis in Paris says red pills are expired. There may have been a time when they were appropriate meds. Now, here's my take on the pill thing, because you got red, you got blue, you got black, you got white. Red means you're waking up from the matrix. Blue means you're in it. Black means, oh, the truth about things. They're really bad. And white is the real thing, the real truth about how fake things are. White pill, nukes are fake. That should make your day. That should make you happy. That should uplift your spirits. Nukes are fake. Don't have to worry about that. You can go ahead and not have that as in the back of your mind ever as a potential threat to your existence. Black pill is all the negative stuff and how it's all unfixable and there's no point. It's very nihilistic. It's the opposite of the white pill because the black pill believes that nukes are real and it's inevitable. Oh, we're all going to die anyway. But my point here is like, I'm not going to distribute white pills. I'm not going to say this is fake, this is fake. We got to stop attracting pill poppers, people who need information given to them dose by dose. And we need to not plant seeds. We need to opt for, I think, the approach of paradigm shock. We need to offer a paradigm shock to the system. In other words, push people off the edge. And if they can swim with us in the raft, cool. If not, oh well. I don't believe that we need to spoon feed or process information because we're not taking mainstream news and regurgitating it and giving a spin, which is what alt does. We're not pieces on the board at all or mixing in with them, not lining up behind them. If anything, we're actually looking at the architecture of the game itself. And it is a game. It's an alternate reality game. And this year, 2024, is a big one because of the election and everything else. And I think it's going to present many opportunities to separate from those who are caught up in the game from those who have seen through it. Elon Musk posted this today. The world isn't getting worse or darker. The veil sheltering you from reality is lifting. And he has reality in quotes. This is coming from Elon Musk. Preeminent space faker. Outer space is not real as they present it. You can trust your senses. Up is there. But the view from up looking down, highly questionable. And I have a lot of material on that today. You got to look at the 2001, 2002 handheld video camera footage from the ISS. It's a joke. But anyway, outer space is a metaphor for inner space, which is their real objective. They're conquering inner space, our minds. And right now they're trying to clear our minds of mind junk, just as they convince us that low Earth orbit is threatened by space junk. The primary supplier of space junk and mind junk happens to be the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. What are the odds? Flooding low Earth orbit with 42,000 CubeSats so we can have our internet where he streams to us mind junk, which is basically all non-mainstream approved memes. But he's a big part of this mind control operation, Pope Elon. He's one of the most meta-scripted, obvious puppets on the world stage. And he's saying, the world's not getting worse or darker. The veil sheltering you from reality is lifting. Now, my point is this. Does the truth make the world look worse or darker? Is the truth black pill? That's kind of my point here. Is that the truth reveal goes darker. It's a nightmare. He's saying it's a nightmare, but it's because you're waking up to the nightmare. You see how that works? It's clever. It really is, because they think they're waking up like, oh, you guys are just dreaming, living your lives, you're happy, but I'm raging at the clouds because that's poison. And it's altering the weather, blocking the sun. The sun used to be yellow, now it's not. And that's a whole other thing, by the way. You know why some people think the sun used to be yellow and now it's white? It's because of the Teletubbies. It's because of cartoons and logos. It's similar to the Mandela effect. It's the association of the color yellow with the sun merging with memories, and it's a Mandela effect like effect, because the Mandela effect is real, but it's not about reality shifting. The Mandela effect is false memory creation and the acceptance of a false memory as an authentic one. It's really a mind game that they're playing on unwittingly often. Some of them don't know that they are actually creating the effect as they go. But my point of it is, some are saying about the sun, I was getting to this earlier, that they think the sun changed colors, and I have some information on that later we'll get into, I'm sure, but my point of it is, the sun hasn't changed. And the way that they describe it, like someone was like telling me, it used to be yellow. Maybe around sunset or sunrise, you may see it yellows, but it's color is really dependent on the atmosphere and the time of day. It's not a stable quality. It's not intrinsic to it. It doesn't have a color in that sense. But anyway, Synchro Morpheus responded to Musk here because we're talking about how people have these false awakenings are given. Now you're awake to the fact that the sky is toxic and the sun is no longer as the sun is dying. It's really nightmarish. So Synchro Morpheus says, when does the veil lift for fake space travel? I guess you already tried with Tesla Starman, but everyone still bought it. When Starman happened, I thought too. I thought this is going to do it. This is going to break the space program. And it didn't. I was legitimately shocked. Like, I guess I had higher expectations in people. I didn't realize the level of visual illiteracy. But all it took was that ridiculous production and a tweet. Take that, flat earthers, to shut down all criticism to NASA. Dewis Impera says, do you think Elon comes up with his own tweets, or do machine elves write them? There's probably a panel of 12 or 13 people, probably a whole coven. There's like 13 people who write his tweets. I don't think he's a loose cannon. He's not a loose cannon. He's an actor playing a loose cannon. In fact, I was looking at that article someone had sent me about the connections between Musk and Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka, and the connections between these two personages. And no, he's definitely a construct. Is he writing his own tweets? Is he really addicted to weird drugs? Is he really an alt-right culture warrior? I don't think so. It's too contrived. Speaking of alt-right, it's all about a purity contest. And it's like, when I say alt-right, I'm talking like Turning Point USA, Nick Fuentes, the stuff that's not on Fox because it's too far. Not too far towards the truth, but it goes too far down the political horseshoe. It gets into wokeism. And wokeism and red pillism become identical at some point. And I'm noticing how they have this purity contest, and it seems like Charlie Kirk is no longer pure enough for Stu Peters. You see, Stu Peters is an open and avowed racist, xenophobe, Jew hater, but Charlie Kirk doesn't hate Jews. And so you have this beef between them. It's kind of funny. But basically, the way it works is Turning Point USA, chairman, organizer, Charlie Kirk doesn't hate Israel. Therefore, he's being thrown under the bus by Stu Peters. Even though they check all the boxes for xenophobia and racism and everything else that they agree with, that one point of disagreement is enough for them to break up. Here's the actual tweet. And I'm not walking this back. I'm not backing off on this at all. I'm doubling down on the premise here that there's a direct pipeline from anti-vax to anti-immigrant. There really is. And it has to do with borders, and the PSYOP is all about border insecurity. Your epidermis is a border. the nation's border. It prevents migrants. Well, what does the injection represent? Blood contamination. What do migrants coming into a pure nation represent? Collective blood. The collective body is now being infiltrated, contaminated. So this blood purity thing is a psyop, but it follows along a line of logic, and it's all about insecurity, and it is left and right, and that's why there is a pipeline, and it's predictable. The current thing one day is anti-vax, then it's anti-immigrant, then it's anti-evil aliens, and this is when I really noticed that there is a connection here. One minute Tucker Carlson is, hey, the Pentagon leaked something, somebody told me something, the aliens are real and they're dark and they're evil. So now aliens are dark and evil. And then the next segment, migrants from Africa, military age migrants, are coming to America with bad intentions. And I'm like, wait, evil aliens, common denominator. But again, we're talking about, I'm saying it's psychological warfare, nothing more. It's all a psyop. So here's Charlie Kirk defending Israel and Stu Peters.
So let's open it up for questions. We want to start to hear from some of our students here.
So my question is, if the president were to enact a policy that would completely benefit the United States and her citizens, but to the detriment of Israel, would you support it? Yes or no?
Thank you for being here. I get a lot of questions about Israel in the last week. I will not apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East.
There you have it. So Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, and who recently said we need to undo the Civil Rights Act, and that MLK Jr. is a terrible person. He's gone all out with this white nationalist thing, except he won't go all the way, and now he's being thrown under the bus, which is amazing. Now, I don't really take sides in any of these fake issues, because that's what they are. They're all fake, but they're eating their own. All right, moving on here. Dominic says Elon has mental issues speaking and thinking clearly, so the think tank may be his best friend. I still tend to think it's all fake and contrived. Everything Awesome tweeted this to me. When I was a child, preachers used to spread fear that the UPC barcode was the mark of the beast. Are they still spreading that the vax is the mark? Not a great track record. Why do we keep listening to them? Yeah, I agree. Leave it behind. If anything, it was the mask of the beast and it was a typo. They said the devil's greatest trick was convincing the world it didn't exist. Maybe his greatest trick was a typo that nobody caught. And it was the mask of the beast. And it showed, yep, the world will go ahead and kneel to the beast. And I think we can make the case that, yeah, that actually is it. Okay, we talked about Richie from Boston and his chemtrail lung. Do Us in Paris says 666 in the barcode. I used to buy into that. Look, it may be true, but our definition of the beast may not be it may not be something like a signifier at the end of the world. It may be a reference to something else. Like in my view, and I think the symbolism bears this out, the beast is mostly a reference to the sun god, and the solar cult, the obelisk. It's all connected to the same central figure or earth god, the 666 that is. And so it could very well be the case that, yeah, we already live in the beast matrix, the beast system, and the mainstream media is its church. But okay, moving on here. I was out today hiking, and I was taking pictures of condensation trails, lots of them. And I noticed that when I was on my back and I was taking pictures, and then I flipped the phone upside down, it looked exactly like the globe. And these planes leaving trails looked like rockets leaving the Earth. And I thought, this would easily fool a SpaceX believer. Like the kind of people who believe in that Tesla Roadster in space. You could tell them this is the globe and they would believe it. It's actually an optical illusion. And if you still believe in space travel, I can save you a lot of time. There's a mission I could direct you to. If you have any questions about it, email me. But basically, there's a space shuttle mission where they're dropping that big red tank, but they're using a handheld camera. And what they give away is that the space shuttle is on the ground. They're not really 200 miles up. And the fuel tank isn't falling, but rather it's a blimp that's going straight up. And the clouds that you're seeing are not clouds and then the ocean behind them. So these clouds aren't between you the viewer and the ocean, but rather you're not even seeing the ocean. You're seeing the blue sky misrepresented as the ocean. Clever optical illusion. I mean, these days they pretty much rely on CGI, but they've used a lot of fascinating tricks. In fact, let me go to that topic because I had found something just today. I was doing research on. Okay, here it is. This is hilariously bad. This is a digital. It's alleged to be a digital photograph taken through the window of the ISS of condensation trails. And this is in 2002. It's not a cartoon. It's not a computer simulation. It's not an artist's interpretation. This is alleged to be, by NASA, an actual photograph taken through the window of the ISS. They don't do these anymore. They might show you an astronaut hanging out by the window, but they don't show you an over their shoulder view of the Earth through the window. Why? Because you would see it's a stage. It says this digital photograph taken through the window of the ISS on May 15th, 2002 shows contrails over the Rhone Valley in, let's see here, negative 40 degrees Celsius in the wake of jetliners. But my point of it is, not only is this photograph not believable, but if we were really able to see contrails from space, you would be able to connect them to specific flights. Like here, there's enough definition here that you could say, okay, this happened on this day, and you'd be able to verify, yep, they're in space because it aligns with the flight flight patterns below. So they can't really do this anymore. They don't do it. Totally fake. But they don't show us this view. They'll show you pictures alleged to be from the astronauts, but you never actually see what they see. And they tell you, oh, it's so beautiful. My jaw's dropping. Well, let me see it. They never show you. But what's more, they claim that after 9/11, since they had grounded all of the planes, they said that the temperatures had an effect. In an unprecedented experiment following the September 11th grounding of all aircraft in the United States, researchers reported in the August 8th issue of Nature that temperatures usually affected by contrails fluctuated higher during this contrail-free period. Believe it if you want to. I don't. But a lot of people do believe that condensation trails are affecting the weather. And NASA wants you to believe this is true. So if you want to be on the right side of the MSM, you might want to believe it. All right, let's continue here. Planes falling from the sky has been a big thing, and we'll continue to follow that. Okay, here's someone on Instagram. I'm only playing this because I'm noticing that there's a lot of flat earth stuff on Instagram and a lot of new voices and perspectives, most of them biblical.
Globe. The people that fight for the globe are doing so literally for the only reason of wanting to be right. They don't care about anything other than just being right. The people that are fighting for flat earth, we're doing it for a legitimate reason. We're doing it because it's God's word, it's true to his word, and the deception.
Anyway, I'm finding a lot of Bible earthers, and the main criticism I have against this, of course, is I think the Bible is the old school fake news, in the sense that it doesn't matter if the news is telling the truth or not, or if it accurately describes things or not. It's about the contextualization of the information and the worldview it creates. And I think this biblical flat earth thing is an error, a huge error. And it rejects the scientific method. It rejects science, replaces it with faith. Definitely a step back. And none of them have any interest in testing their claims or doing any exploration whatsoever because they have all the answers they need. It's just fascinating to how, it's a fascinating testament to how a false explanation can kill curiosity and replace it with certainty. And I would categorize flat earthers who are believing they have a complete model, biblical flat earthers, in the same box as globers. The glurfs and the flurfs in the same box. And that box is false certainty. Faith in a model that is not the terrain, not the territory. Tominoid 3 says, main problem with biblical flat earth is it's not only is it just completely wrong. But I think it throws out a lot of impetus to actually verify or test claims and replaces it again with this anti-science position, which I don't think anybody should try to stand on. The scientific method is your friend. We're talking about testable, repeatable observations, having standards of evidence for accepting claims. I mean, that's what kills chemtrails. You can still fight on that and want to die on that hill if you want, but the fact is, the predictability of contrails and how contrails can be used to make predictions about weather, the predictability is what separates the two. That's that's the end of it. Okay, moving on. Yeah, cannibalism's so hot right now. In a harrowing scenes, which the Sun has decided not to show, the Russian forces open a barrage of machine gun fire. I've been looking at this too. All fakeable. But it says here, this comes after self-confessed cannibalistic Satanist convicted of killing and devouring two children was hailed a hero by Vladimir Putin. Yep, 33-year-old dismembered teenagers was freed by the dictator to fight in Ukraine. He was the oldest among a sect of Satanists consisting of 6 other members. Cannibal Satanists, cannibal Freemasons in Haiti. This guy's name again is Barbecue. All right, let's see here. Dewis and Pear says, can we explore the conspiracy of people compulsively using the word literally every chance they get, appropriately or not? Nobody uses it appropriately. I have not seen anybody use it appropriately. Literally means figuratively now. So if you mean figuratively, say literally. Because if you say figuratively, nobody will know what you're saying. Elephant Tusk says quarantine the 33-year-olds. Yeah. You know how many religious fanatical movements would not have emerged if we had just quarantined the 33-year-olds? Jesus. Martin Luther was 33 when he nailed the 93 or whatever thesis on the door. Yeah, he was 33. Dave Koresh, 33, and they all thought he was Jesus. But yes, if we could make that happen, QAnon shaman, we wouldn't have had the January 6th insurrection. The guy with the spear wouldn't have nearly killed democracy if only we had quarantined them. And for their own good as well. Like if you're entering that age, maybe you want to consider a year of voluntary lockdown. It seems like a lot of stuff happens around that time. And we shouldn't be able to guess this stuff. I shouldn't be able to say, hey, I just read about this cannibal Satanist in Russia killing teenagers and now going after Zelensky. And I shouldn't be able to say, how old is he? And have 50 people say, oh yeah, we know his age. It should not be that predictable. Reality's not that predictable, but you know what is? The metascript. The Netflix-based reality that we're living in right now, Leave the World Behind, which is an anagram for Behold the End War Live. By the way, coming up, looks like on March 25th, Sonic is going to be releasing something called the Blackout Slush, and they're handing out eclipse glasses. Blackout Slush and eclipse glasses. Everybody's going to be looking at the eclipse. It's going to be a national state of emergency for some reason. It's already being declared more or less as an emergency. I got this meme today. It says, it's really cool to live in the USA at this point in history because it's like the collapse of the Roman Empire but with Wi-Fi. And that's what I mean by leave the world behind, behold the end war live. And they'll want you safe at home in front of your TV whenever they pull off the big ones so that you're living it through your screen. Makes it easier for them to get away with faking stuff if they don't have to deal with eyewitnesses. Because people watching things through the screen, and this is the fundamental error, they think they're eyewitnesses. I saw it on TV, I saw it. I watched the moon landing live. I watched JFK get shot. I watched the jumpers on 9/11. I watched people on TV falling down on their faces. No, you didn't witness any of this stuff. You're a bearer of false witness. Just by being a mainstream media believer, you are breaking one of the 10 commandments. Shame on you. And I'm not even a religious person, but I'm saying that your God, if you're a believer in the 10 commandments, is very disappointed in you for falling for the image of the beast, that black box cube that gets you to break all the rules just by plugging into it. It turns you into a creature of this world if you conform to it. That's what we're seeing on full display. Psyopsical says it's the green screen life. Yes. And I've compared the green screen to the green curtain behind the Wizard of Oz. And we've been behind the screen for a long time. And there are some people who will peek behind the screen and then look back out again, just selectively. Like you have this selective skepticism, like Elon Musk. I can't believe that people still believe in the legacy media as though the new media, the alt media, is legitimate. He's like, oh, they're in an alternate reality. Oh, but you're not? It's a clever game. Each side accuses the other side of being the bad guys. You know, it's kind of like it's interchangeable. It's choose your own adventure. If you're on the left, you're afraid of billionaires like Elon Musk. All these billionaires are like villains, you know, and saviors to their respective sides. So the right's like, no, he's our savior. The left is like, no, he's the enemy of civilization. Then you got Bill Gates. Left is like, he's our savior. Right's like, he's the enemy of civilization. He's going to blot out the sun and kill us all. So which is it? Is he going to blot out the sun and kill us all, kill everybody? Is he a depopulationist or is he a savior? Can't be both. What they can't grasp, because they're in the box, they're in the schismatic box, what they cannot grasp is that Bill Gates and Elon Musk are both actors in the same movie. They're BFFs. They're the same. There's no distinction between them, no meaningful distinction. Elvin Tusk says, Tim, when was the last time you went to the urgent care or the doctors? It's like NPC Central over there. The last time I went to the doctors. I don't know, actually. It's been a long time. When I had that fever, my hot skull, I thought I might have needed to go at one point. I thought, if this gets any worse, but no, I haven't needed to. But Albuquerque's great. It's growing. I have no problems with this place. We have great condensation trails, beautiful sky. But if you hate condensation trails, you won't like this place because that airport there is very busy. I saw lots of X's over my head. And I had no fear, no paranoia. I didn't think that X was some kind of diabolical marking of targeted for destruction or demolition or death by chemtrails. I really think about this because I have a very optimistic worldview, and I have not been convinced that the sky is falling. I have not been convinced to adopt a fear-based perspective, and I'm not paranoid about any of the stuff that people are trained to be paranoid about. Like being woke is being paranoid, if you ask me. It's superstitious as well. What is the deal with this guy? John Cena came out in front of the world naked, and this is some kind of a joke. I don't understand the joke. What's funny about it? Like normally he's out there in shorts as a wrestler, and now he's out there covering his midsection with an envelope. Is there some deeper meaning here? I was thinking, well, there could be some deeper meaning. Bright green Barbie believes that we're looking at a bodysuit, which could be. Like I kind of think that the face is incongruent, and it does look like a weird, like rubbery, doughy look, but I don't know. What's the bigger picture here? Is there a bigger picture? Is it just they don't have any ideas? And why is this considered to be funny or even, I don't know, worthy of anybody's attention? If anything, this is like someone who'll do anything for attention. But a lot of people are saying it's a humiliation ritual. I don't think that these people have any shame to be humiliated. But what is it exactly? I thought maybe it could be a reference. Like earlier they had Barbie, they had Ken. There may be something here. I'm not quite sure. Anybody have any ideas on this John Cena thing? Is it worth paying attention to? I assume nothing's by accident, but this one here really... I thought it might have something to do with Adam and Eve and the idea of the fig leaf and some kind of shame at having taken the bait, following Satan, following Eve, etc. Not quite sure, but Alex Jones is mad at Trump, says he'll go on a warpath against Trump over his latest brag. Trump is really prideful about his role in disseminating the V. And Alex Jones has been anti-V for many, many years, and so he has to, in a very performative way, call out Trump on this. But it doesn't mean anything. All right, moving on. Yeah, the naked guy at the award ceremony. I don't get it at all, but Senna has been acting stupid for years now, says Gematria 101. Yeah, it looked to me like someone who just needs a lot of attention, and he'll get it one way or the other, bad or good. It's just attention at any cost. But the QAnon believers, and this is reported on by Daily Dot, the QAnon believers think John Cena's Oscar bit was a public initiation into the global cabal, a humiliation ritual. What about the Black Eye Club? I'd rather go that route. Host Jimmy Kimmel and John Cena got big laughs for the bit last night. Did they? It sounded like laugh tracks. Jimmy Kimmel's unfunny. But some believers didn't find it funny. They said it was Hollywood pedophiles, rapists, and perverts. Oh, okay, this is a Best Costume Award. So this may have been a rubber suit. Liz Cronkin, a fervent, rabid QAnon supporter, I added rabid, posted a picture of Senna being outfitted alongside the assertion the entire joke was disgraceful. It's a humiliation ritual. She says, this is not just a humiliation ritual. This is Liz Cronkin. This is Hollywood pedophiles, rapists, and perverts getting off on this. And then she goes on to say about Jimmy Kimmel is that he is, oh, let's not forget, Kimmel had Tom Hanks do a skit on his show. Now, this stuff is true. The thing is, I'm not saying that Tom Hanks and Jimmy Kimmel aren't kind of weird pervs. I mean, Tom Hanks has done some very questionable stuff, very questionable. Like, I thought it was really strange when he decided to do the whole Pinocchio thing. He was in Pinocchio as Geppetto. I'm like, what is he saying here? Geppetto? And the whole story about the boy going to this pleasure island, being turned into donkeys. Very creepy stuff. Let's see here. Yes, Kimmel ran a skit on another show featuring an FBI-identified pedo symbol on it and a pizza. This is where it gets kind of blurred. It's like, well, where does because we know that there are creeps. We know that there are, I don't know if there's cannibal creeps, cannibal Satanists. I don't know if they're harvesting adrenochrome in the way that has been said. That's all kind of, hyperbole and superstition, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that there are a bunch of strange characters and a lot of strange stuff going on, but the hyperbole doesn't help. Like, did Ryan Garcia help anybody by lying about Bohemian Grove? Does Alex Jones help? Or are they just creating, intentionally perhaps, creating a perception? Elvin Tusk says, what about the Q leg brace thing? Now, if the whole Q movement is, as I think, an intentional operation, then it's not organic. It's not just, oh, all these people caught this idea and they won't let it go. It's a cult. It's really easy to say that and dismiss it. But I think it's a very targeted psychological operation. And if you were going to convince people of something and it's a bifurcated psyop, everybody behind the scenes is on the same team, then you would probably give them a lot of stuff. You'd throw them some breadcrumbs and you would have the actors going along with the script on some level. Moving on here. Again, we're talking about humiliation rituals. Jim Biden. I'm kind of tired of the whole, is Biden a guy in a mask? It's almost like, at this point, immaterial. It doesn't even matter. Oh, I've been blocked. The account that I was referencing blocked me. No big deal. Oh, little side note here. If you missed it, I was live on Sunday for a hoaxiversary celebration of 3/11 with fakeologist JLB and fake nukes Phil. And if you missed it, I sent out the links to the recordings on fakeologist's site and JLB's, and I recommend going to johnthebond.com and listening there, because we had like an hour-long pre-panel discussion, and he included it there, and he really cleaned up the audio and balanced everything. So if you want to go to johnthebond.com for the 3/11 anniversary, just in case you missed
So,
it. And we're going to do more of these. We're probably going to do a retrospective on 3/11 every 3/11 and on 9/11 every 9/11. So a couple times a year we'll have these panels. Do some Paris says enjoyed the stream. I want to do more like that. There's always people I want to do panels with. I'd like to do more guests as well. But it was Fakeologist, Fake Nukes Phil, and John the Bond. I'd never spoken to Fake Nukes Phil, and he has a lot of interesting things to say. Pretty much an auto hoaxer on everything, and he's also on Team Placebo. That the V is probably, if anything, a placebo rather than a deadly weapon. And speaking of placebo, if placebo effect is real, psychosomatic effects based on something somebody fears having a real deleterious effect on somebody's psyche or body, if it's real, and I think it is, and if the things are fake, then the people spreading the superstitions are the real ones causing the harm. In other words, let's say that you convince everybody that cirrus clouds are poisonous and they're making you sick and you've been sick for 5 days because of them, that these clouds are that deadly. Let's say it's not true and it's just water. It's just crystallized water vapor, ice, and it's 20,000 feet away and doesn't affect you. So let's say it doesn't really have an effect on you, but somebody has convinced a lot of people that it does. Don't you think that fear of it might actually cause it, like hypochondria? Like I would say too that in 2020, maybe the media hyping stuff gave people plenty of reason to more or less in some way go along with it. In other words, I'm just saying that spreading the fear, spreading the idea that it's plausible that this could actually affect you in some way might actually cause it to happen, which makes the spreaders of fear the bad guys, just as bad as the mass media. How is it any different? I don't think it's different. Thirst says, is Boogeyman really Tim Osman? I thought so. Look, I talked to Boogeyman like 5 times. He's a 9/11 jumper truther. He believes the planes were fake. He doesn't think anybody died in the planes. He doesn't think anybody died at the Pentagon. No, no, no. But he thinks that the jumpers died. So it's like, oh, you had this big production, you had 33 years to plan it, and you left some of the people in the... No. But he defended that, and we had this discussion, and I thought, yeah, this guy sounds a lot like Tim Osman doing a voice. So I played along with it. It turns out he's allegedly a real person. He was a guest on John LeBon, but he called in during Sunday's panel, and I think he was mad about me suggesting that Justin Bieber could be playing The Weeknd. And I just said it's within the realm of it's within the parameters of fakeability as far as masks and technology we know to exist and people you only see on the screen. It's not a stretch. It's not a hill I'm going to die on like fake 9/11 jumpers. But I mean, he was a caller, and I asked him if he was Tim Osman, I believe, but no, he denies it. Elephant says, do you think there's a divergence in the consensus reality, hence why things feel so incredibly unstable? There is a divergence. You've got the mainstream bifurcation, and then from there it goes deeper. But the divergence is only in the minds, in the worldview. Objective reality? No, it's objective. It's stable. It exists. Reality exists, like it or not. Your internal concept of it is probably jacked if you bought into all the programming. It's askew. It's schizoid. It's divorced from objective reality. It's full of superstitions, fear, dread about things that don't exist. It's programmed. It's mind control. MK Ultra is real. And they do it on a massive scale. Harmon wants to call in, okay? And again, we're open topics, open phones for open minds, and I know as we exit Trutherville, I expect to have a lot of bitter clingers, corpse clutchers, and others who aren't going to let go of certain things. And so I'm opening up phones for any topics, anything you disagree on, that's fine. I won't talk about the V or anti-V. I think the anti-V movement has had plenty of time. I'll take a pro-V. If you're pro-V, you can call, but anti-V, we've had enough. There has not been a Vaxageddon. There won't be one. Move on to the next current thing, anti-immigrant, and then we'll talk about that. Military age men, or are they working age men? Depends. If you're a liberal, they're working age men, and they're a net benefit to the economy. If you're a conservative or you lean right, they're military age men and they're coming to rape, kill, and plunder. It's like, wow, sometimes it's almost like not being a truther really is kind of blissful. And I wondered about this today. Would life be funner if I wasn't aware of how many of these things were fake? Like if I believed in nukes, how would that, and it would alter my personality. Like I would not be the same person. I remember back when I believed in climate change, not because I studied the science or cared. I just thought man is so destructive and nasty that we're destroying the world. I almost thought it was in a kind of a cynical way. I just thought we deserve this. Like I bought into the nihilism. And having bought into that, I think it influenced my art, the media I consumed, the movies I watched, my attitude in general. Very misanthropic. I didn't hate people, but I think I internalized the notion that man was eminently hateable and hopefully a meteor will come take us out of our misery. And that's what they want you to think. And a lot of people agree with that premise. And if you believed all the news, you would too. AG's 28 days later has the rage virus, where the monkeys catch it by staring at CNN all night and watching the violence and the hysteria and the chaos, and they become infected with this rage. But it's all fake. That's my point. The fake news was turning them into, and this is actually interesting too, the fake news radicalizes people. The fake news turns people into these militants for a cause, for a cult of personality, a strongman leader, a dictator. And it's no different than what religions have done. Fanaticism's the same. And I'm saying this because I believe mass media is, in fact, the de facto world state church. And the radicalism it's causing in a bifurcated way, left versus right, is all by design. It's never going to be reconciled. It's designed this way. It's a perfect system. It's actually a prison for the mind, just like Morpheus said. Dewis and Paris says they may be more blissful, but they're more triggerable, therefore dependent on Big Brother for their bliss. Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's it's part of what's called the trauma bond, and the maintenance of the bond that people have with MSM as authority requires intermittent periods of abuse and peace. So you got peace, it's chill, you're inundated with a bunch of meaningless stuff and entertainment, and then bad stuff happens, and you feel bad, and you're forced to react. Everything's unstable, everybody's going to die. Then they turn that off again. And the back and forth. And the good stuff helps you forget the bad stuff. But the bad stuff is still there in your programming, in the back of your mind. But it's a non-stop process. And so, no, it's not really blissful. And it's actually kind of apathetic. It brings out, I think, apathy. Now, the fact is that they're apathetic about stuff that's fake, but they're apathetic about some really serious, crazy, and shocking stuff. Like, oh, by the way, there's cannibal gangs in Haiti, satanic cannibals in Russia, Putin's about to nuke us, and 40 babies got decapitated over there. And they hear this stuff, and then you can change the subject and say, hey, the weather's nice today. And they're like, I agree with you. It's really nice. The difference is, though, between myself and the people who are able to overlook it is that I'm not apathetic to the stuff because I know it's fake. They think it's real, and yet they don't care. If I thought the stuff was real, I would care. That's the difference. If I believed in what the QAnoners believed, I would not be sitting here. I would be scouring the tunnels looking for the lost children. If I believed what the chemdoozlers believed, I'd be at the airports with signs saying, don't fly. You're committing bioterrorism. You're genociding us. Get off the planes. I would be like the hero. I would be a champion of Trutherville's causes if I believed in any of their stuff. And I'm pointing this out because they're apathetic. The truthers are just as apathetic as the blue pillars. They're not doing anything about any of these issues that they're constantly waving around. When is the last time you saw any of these propaganda mules do anything other than retweet, retweet, doom scroll, retweet, doom scroll, retweet? G33 says good decisions aren't made in a state of fear, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Emotional appeals are constantly used to get you to agree with stuff, tapping into your fear, tapping into your pulling your heartstrings. Tom Winoy says James Cameron's Abyss aliens wouldn't save us because of what they saw on the news. Good point. James Cameron's Abyss aliens, like all aliens, they arrive just in time to stop us from nuking each other. Just like the angels would stop us. The aliens are they're intervening on behalf of God. The idea of a higher power has to stop us before we stop ourselves, before we destroy ourselves. There are two ways they present us with the alien scenario. They arrive to destroy us all, and we unite to beat them, or they arrive before we destroy ourselves and they teach us to become one worlders. So the aliens are there to get us to unite as one. And what I brought up earlier about the connection between aliens and the skin and borders, it ties in here as well. What happens if you have aliens invade? We all become one. No more nations, no more boundaries, no more war. Well, aliens are called grays, and they're represented as man in the future, man perfected. Future human beings coming back through time to tell us how to do it right. But what is gray? It's black and white combined. So I believe that the completion of all the Hegelian dialectics, the synthesis, the antithesis, and the thesis, this idea of like problem, reaction, solution, you have these poles, these extremes that are collided and merged together. Well, the gray, I think it represents the achievement of all their goals. So the alien invasion unites everybody. But what does the illegal alien invasion do? Which is another way of saying no borders. What happens if you eradicate all borders? It's the same thing as an alien invasion. Everything becomes one. The destruction or the dilution of distinction. National identity, for example. So the idea of the one worldism achieved by an alien invasion is already happening. And it's happening by the dissolution of borders. It's not happening by aliens from Mars coming down. But I think that the interesting thing here is who is for and who is against aliens. The right wing has been told lately by people like Tucker Carlson that aliens are the enemy. That aliens are dark and they're scary and they're demonic. Meanwhile, the left is like worshiping technology. They're all about, I think, more or less embracing the alien. We believe aliens, like that recent movie I talked about, the Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. It was pretty much about alien worship. They actually have a prayer, "Dear aliens who art in heaven." And that's a corruption of the Lord's Prayer, of course, which could be considered blasphemous. I think they did that at the Black Mass. But anyway, that movie was kind of showing how the aliens are going to be viewed, at least by the left, who buy into scientism, who don't have a God, don't believe in God, don't believe in silly stuff like angry God flood myths, but they believe that Gaia is going to flood us. Aliens, yeah, they believe that. That's science. Angels, that's superstition. That's archaic. Sin, there's no sin, but they do believe in a modern construct that has replaced it. And they don't believe in the Eucharist, but they believe in this new thing, this injectable Eucharist that can save them from their new concept of sin. Infinite Plane Radio.
Yeah, it's Dominic Spiato again. How are you doing?
Oh, very good. Appreciate the comments.
Yeah, well, you know me. I like to comment.
Yeah, well, it's been a very active think tank tonight. I've been looking through here. You said reality is your mind setting from experience and actions of living. Oh, yeah, you're the one who said also that they're more triggerable. That is true. Ignorance is only bliss when they let you have bliss, but at any time, the media wizards can trigger everybody.
Well, I try not to have any bliss in this life. It's about hardworking, politeness, and, a sensibility of things like around you. Sense the people around you. I will go into Aldi today and look, I don't even drive a car. I go into Aldi. Nobody pays attention to where they're going. They're fucking running into you, this and that. It's like, oh my God, I got to dodge everybody. Then they come out and well, it's 70 degrees in Chicago again. It's unbelievable bliss-like weather. So with the bliss-like weather, everybody is either manic or they're super slow go. So it's really weird when you're riding a bicycle around town in the southwest side of suburbs of Chicago. So
I believe it. This is the riot
it's
weather,
so weird,
March.
bro.
Well, when is
Go ahead.
when was the last time that you were actually triggered by a news story that was meant to terrify you? Can you recall that?
No, it's been a while because the reason is because I haven't been on YouTube in a while. Okay, I stopped going on YouTube, bro. I had to because I'm somebody that likes to go and look into things and investigate
Oh, you're in the
what the
meatverse.
hell is
You're still
going
out
on
there.
about this.
You're still in the real
Oh,
world. Now,
yeah, I'm in the real world, bro. The realest world, not that fake bullshit crap, man. That dude, I haven't been like I used to. I was involved, not involved, but like go in and being semi-involved with prepper. I wanted to get involved with the prepper communities, but dude, that I just came back to that, bro. And you know what? I went back to it again. Like I'm not gonna say any channels. Fuck, man, they're fucking selling you shit. They're selling you fair, and then they're giving you back the fucking answer, just like the government would do.
yeah, exactly. Be afraid of this, but buy this and you won't be afraid. I'm like, I'll just not buy the fear and I won't need the cure for it. How about that? I'm not a customer. And
Exactly.
that's why they hate us. See, when I say media viewers and audiences, I'm calling them consumers now. MSM consumers. MSM plus consumers. That's really what they are. I'm just not buying. I'm not a
Yeah,
consumer.
they are. They don't even realize. They think they're cool people or they're on top of it or some bullshit. I have no idea. I don't even know. How the how the f did I even get involved in all this shit in the first place? I don't know on YouTube, but I had to let most of it go.
Well, I'll
I
say
mean, it's
this.
700 fucking channels I'm subscribed to.
But the fact is,
For
you you
Pete's sake.
you said you're not watching. Like, if you're not keeping up with the news,
No, I'm not watching. I'm not watching at all. I haven't been watching for 2 or 3 months.
okay,
2 or 3 months I've been off watch.
what did it? Like, did Taylor
I'm
Swift?
only going on your channel and only a couple other channels. That's it. I went on Milky Way channel. That's a small ass channel. It's about
Look, I was
it's
almost
good
pushed. I was
channel.
almost pushed into a media quarantine by Taylor Swift. I couldn't handle it. But I want to point out for
Oh, the
listeners here.
Taylor Swift today was in my face. It was in my face. I was at CVS today. Taylor Swift right on the magazine, looking, staring at me. I'm like, oh my god, that's a fucking guy. It's a fucking
Well,
guy,
look,
bro.
I don't know about that, but I will say
Looks
this.
like a guy to me.
Look, I'll say this though. You were guided to it. This is the thing. Once you know how media works, you don't need to stay plugged in every day to know it's all fake. So you're able to tune out for 3 months, you come back, and you're not lost. You're fine. You can survive. You don't have to
So
stay
I'm
plugged in.
completely fine.
Awesome.
I can't. Yeah, I'm too smart for that, I guess.
You are. That's what it is. What we're doing here, this is an intellectual revolt. Once you figured out that they're using magic
Right.
shows and tricks, it's an insult to your
Oh
intelligence.
yeah. Oh fuck, I've known that for years, but still, I can still be consumed by it. Like, oh, maybe there's another angle here that nobody even knows. But no, it's all the same shit. It's all fucking rabbit holes, man. No, I am Mandela affected, okay? I am.
Look, I
All
agree.
right?
You could be.
know you. I
A
know
lot
you're
of people
against,
are. You
you're
might be Mandela
against me,
affected,
but
but we disagree on what the
I
Mandela effect is.
am, bro.
What is your effect?
I
What got you?
am. I have them. I have them. I, dude, fucking Mandela fucking died, bro. Fucking 3 goddamn times, man. I watched it on TV in the fucking 80s, bro. I was a little child on fucking TV. that whole fucking
Okay,
spiel.
okay. Well, that's
And then
look. That's
I'm a
let me
teenager,
say
and
this.
then
Let me just say
it
this though.
comes up,
Look.
oh, Mandela died in jail or some shit. What?
Okay, look. You could be 100% Mandela affected. I agree with that. It doesn't mean
Please
reality
agree with
shifted. It
that.
doesn't mean reality shifted. But my definition of
Okay,
the
what does it
Mandela,
mean though?
it means that you conflated memories and falsely constructed a recollection. That's what it means. It doesn't mean reality shifted.
Yeah, well, because it's all coming from the goddamn media anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, Mandela.
right?
Yeah. What I'm saying here is that I think the Mandela effect is a result of the framing of a question. It's very clever, but in no way does it indicate that reality is shifting. I dispute the idea that reality shifts. The internal worldview is mush. It's pliable. It's like Play-Doh. They control our minds that way, but objective reality doesn't change.
Yeah, I see. I'm with you on that. How can it change though? Yeah, that's the whole thing. There you go.
But I like the conversation about the Mandela effect. I like where it goes, and I think there are some other areas that are adjacent to it that are far more interesting, that are somewhat related. That I think people who are attracted to the idea of the Mandela effect might be interested in.
I'm
Like,
not attracted to the idea at all. It's just that it's just the weirdness here, man.
well, there's an explanation for everything, and I'm interested in finding out the best possible explanations. Anyway, hey, appreciate the call
I
very
know
much,
you are.
Dominic. And yeah, you call back
Uh,
anytime. Good to hear from you.
I will. You
Awesome.
have a good night, bro.
Likewise. Thank you. All right, that is Dominic. Very well represented there in the comments section. Flat Back Lives Matter says he's telling the truth. Yeah, look, I don't dispute this. I would not say that somebody who's Mandela affected is fibbing or confabulating or lying. But I believe that they are examples of faulty eyewitnesses. They're giving faulty eyewitness testimony. And anybody can fall for this. The idea here is that you're an eyewitness to something, you're testifying that I saw like this. I'm accusing reality of lying. I'm accusing reality of mendacity. Reality is lying to us. It tricked us. It's not telling the truth. Well, let's take it to court then. Is reality lying? Let's weigh the evidence against these eyewitnesses. And eyewitnesses are consistently misled. They're consistently influenced by the interrogator. And this is very well understood. And many people are exonerated after serving years in prison for things they didn't do based upon faulty eyewitness testimony. And so it's a serious thing. It's taken very seriously. And the fact that people are exonerated based on it, it's a big deal. And for the Mandela affected to say, oh, there's no such thing as faulty memory, or there is no retroactive interference, there is no interrogator bias. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of research that would suggest otherwise. What do we have here? Oh, sure. Gifted 5 memberships, level Blue Wrench Lodge. Hey, appreciate that very much. The channel has a membership, Blue Wrench Lodge, $1 a month. And as soon as people started signing up, and it started tonight, this is my plan. As soon as people start becoming members of the YouTube channel, I will be uploading member content. So that's going to begin. So I appreciate that. Salty Siren received a membership gift. Jennifer Reeves, Rome, FMGR, Scott Rankin. Appreciate it very much. Very nice. This is a new beginning for the IPS. We were cut out of monetization for a long time, and we've had to make this work. We've all been pushing the tank, but we're now monetized. We're on YouTube. We can sell memberships. I have some other perks they've added, but super chats, etc. And it all adds up. And once that begins, I think next month, the regular payments, it'll keep me here more often. So if you go to the Infinite Plane Society YouTube channel, on there it has a button where you can pay for a membership. And when you're a member, you'll be getting these notifications. And what I plan on doing is I have a lot of like half-hour, hour-long videos on specific subjects that I want to do deep dives in. I want to call these IPR deep dives. But in order for me to take my time and put it into something, I have to find some way of making it move this thing forward. And it'll, probably be good for the overall amount of content that we generate here. We talk about so many things, we research so many things, but sometimes these single subjects need to be consolidated. I have a few things I wanted to get into. Mandela effect is one of them. I want to talk about the retroactive interference, the tainted witness, all the various aspects to it. And if I could find someone who is a proponent of it, I would like to have a conversation and debate. But I've listened to many of them, and many of them, look, you know what's holding it in place? And this is true for a lot of beliefs in general. A lot of people are incapable of admitting that they're wrong, that they could misspell a word. There's no way I misspelled the word. The dictionary's wrong. Reality changed. That's an ego issue. It's not a truther thing. I will happily admit that I'm wrong. You show me a convincing image of the Earth from space, and I will say, wow, Earth is a ball. So here's a tweet from Jackie DeVoy. I'm just telling a person in their 20s that the sun used to be yellow when I was a child, and he's laughing at me. The last time he saw a yellow sun was on Teletubbies. Here's the sun now. It's white and weird shaped. How is it where you are? And her sun is white and football shaped, according to the camera. Very interesting. But here's the thing. It's not a Mandela effect. The sun didn't change. It's not the result of contrails or chemtrails. But you have adults debating the color of the sun. And here's an article on it from the Washington Post. It's pretty good. Is the sun's color white or yellow? And here's what they wrote. When you're a kid, you don't necessarily pay that much attention to these deep philosophical questions about the nature of color and light. And the way you might start to when you're sitting on your office looking out the window on a sunny day. So perhaps just override your memory with the learned associations of yellow equals sun, which you leaned on heavily as a child. What they're suggesting here is that the color of the sun is dependent on the atmosphere and atmospheric scattering of light waves, which is why it appears to be different at various parts of the day. Sunset, sunrise in particular. But one of the points raised in this article is that if you were to ascribe a color to the sun based purely on objective data, I think you would say it's green. Our sun is actually green. But they compared this to the debate people had about whether this dress was blue or white. From this day on, the world will be divided into two people, blue and black or white and gold. So this is a debate that raged about a dress back in 2015, and people were divided as to, what is it? But when it comes to the sun, there are plenty of reasons why people would think it's yellow, but color in that sense is not an intrinsic quality to the sun, which is of course going to have all of the colors in it. And so it's a misunderstanding, I think, of how color works to say that the color of the sun changed. Wisdom Rain says, nice to see you back, IPS. Been a fave of mine since, I don't know, back when Morgile was hiding his substance abuse. Oh yes, before he was actively recruiting enablers. Yeah, well, thanks, appreciate it very much. And look, I respect tenacity. There are people I have no agreements with, people who have been mean or whatever, people who we've had mutual dislike for. But there's a certain point, after a certain number of years of this, people sticking around just eventually earn respect. Like Ronnie and Johnny. I might just use their real names, Ronnie and Jason. I listened to them recently, and their idea of the simulation, or world being a simulation, very fascinating stuff. And I consider them to be a respectable channel, and having stuck around, because it's not easy, financially staying up and keeping a channel going, and it requires something more. You can't be in this for the money necessarily. And I'm also, I think, inclined to, be supportive of those people who are just going against the grain that far. At some point, we may meet at certain points, but our agreements are just philosophical. And I like philosophical differences more than political differences. Okay, so Do You Think says the sun was yellow. And look, the sun was yellow. what is your basis for that memory? And I think back and I recall as a kid the sun being yellow in all of my drawings. So I'd ask you, if you remember that the sun was yellow and it changed, did the sun also have a smiley face? No, the sun was yellow, the sky was blue. Again, childhood memories. Uh, Giovanni the Third says, "Well, Tim, I was unaware you came back to YouTube. I'm surprised you're against chemtrails." Don't. I'm not against them. Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, what's up, caller?
Hey, hey, how you doing? I just wanted to say I've been listening to your show, and it hit home. It hits home a lot for me, and I appreciate what you're doing and keep up the good work.
Hey, I appreciate that very much, and I always like it when longtime listeners chime in because there's a lot of people out there who've never called in, but have been consistently on this raft.
hmm it's definitely how I feel, and your show has done good just to read between the lines, and just
Well,
and I just keep doing what you're doing, Tim.
I
Thank you. That's
will,
awesome.
and I thank you for the call, and I think that this year is going to be our best year yet, so I'm glad to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything I can do? How can I sign up? I mean, I got your Infinite Plane Radio, YouTube.
Okay, if you go to the YouTube, you can join as a member for $1 a month. Blue Ranch Lodge. I just got monetized, and that's the type of thing that will keep this going.
Excellent. Or do you have a live show tonight?
Yeah, actually, if you go to ips.monster and click on any of the links, we're live right now. In fact, there's like, um,
IPS Monster.
yeah, ips.monster, easy to remember, and it has a bunch of links. And you can click the YouTube link, Odyssey, any of the audio feeds, and yes, we're live right now. There's like
Okay, excellent.
hundred and some
Sorry, I didn't
people
mean.
listening, so you have an audience right
Excellent.
now.
All
Thanks
right.
again.
And which link should I click on? YouTube, you said.
YouTube, I would say the YouTube one, and if you want to sign up there, there's a member button.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day, sir. I'll
Awesome,
be tuning
appreciate
in
the
now.
cool. All right, we have a caller who didn't know that we were live who's tuning in. Okay, so what were we talking about here? Oh yes, look, I'm not against chemtrails. I'm really here about understanding how we arrive at wrong answers as much as anything. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it. Someone else, look, some people say, oh, you don't remember because it was like when we were kids. And someone else said, what are you, a Zoomer? They had a literal van and Ed McMahon would pop out. He did this for 20 years. Yeah, so some people have 20 years of memories of Ed McMahon passing out checks. Well, come on, where are all the people? Do you have any friends, for example? Where are all these rich people? Like, oh yeah, my family's a bunch of millionaires. We got money because grandma got a check. Never hear from them. Let's see here. I have a few other things updated. This is actually kind of a big deal. So we've been lately talking quite a bit about this concept of the parallel media and the need for it, the need to break away from alt media for a lot of reasons. And if you go to my Twitter account, I recently started a community here. Parallel Media, a community for skeptics, auto hoaxers, and media non-believers. Just kind of as a barometer here, we want to know, how many people are involved in this, or how many people really accept this idea or understand that fake mainstream and fake alternative constitute the world stage fictional universe. And all those who understand this, who recognize that there is not a platform outside of that, will now find a platform in what we have defined as the parallel media. And as we fill out this vacuum, and it is a vacuum, there's a huge philosophical void. There's a big void, I believe, where a lot of people who would naturally be skeptical and objectivists in this world which has moved into reality fluidity and pure subjectivism, they're just not served. There's no place for it. There's a need for this. And I would liken what we're doing in a way to a philosophical revolution in a sense, kind of like if you can imagine a theocratic society where you have no options, no content is allowed outside of their holy books. And then you have an emerging group of skeptics who are actually doubtful of the state's appointed god or idol, like atheists. Well, obviously they want to kill them, or they want to exile them, apostates. And in a sense, what we represent is an apostasy from the world state church, which is the media. But this group on Twitter, this is a community. I'm going to be continuing to expand this, and I'll be posting relevant content there. So if you're following us there, you won't miss out on anything. But I think it's important that we have a place just to kind of give an idea. Like here we have 1,000 subs. So we know there's at least 1,000 thinking people in the world. And this too will give us an idea of how expansive this is. Meanwhile, we're in here, ground zero, engineering the auto hoax mind virus and preparing it to go pandemic. All right, moving on here. This is minds.com/infinite plane society. I'm just scrolling through my notes. Vision for the Blind said, with all this talk about professional boxer Ryan Garcia last week, it's interesting his next fight is on 420 against Devin Haney. Below is a post that Haney made while hanging out with Diddy. Yeah, Puff Daddy or Diddy's been in the news quite a bit. He's been compared to Epstein. We'll see where that goes. All right, let's see what else we have. More than 25 years since the ISS entered orbit, and more than 100 eclipses in those 25 years. Not a single video of those eclipses filmed from the ISS. Now, I have an axiom for this. This is Auto Hoaxology axiom number 42. It's not always what they show, but what is conspicuously absent, which gives away the fakery. What is conspicuously absent, what should be there but isn't. And you have to ask questions. You have to really dig at some of these things to arrive at them. Like, for example, I look at certain astronauts who've been up there for a certain amount of time. Like there was that, I think it was Peg Whitson. She was a commander of the ISS. She was in space for 666 days in orbit in total. Anyway, I'm looking at this astronaut over the period of time, and I'm like, wait a minute here. How is this person's hair darkening? Where are they getting Botox injections in space? Like there were certain things that just didn't make sense. Her age was reversing or something. Like indications of things that couldn't be done in space, hair dye in space, cosmetic surgery in space. U.S. astronaut Peggy Whitson breaks American spaceflight record. By the time she returns to Earth in September, she will have spent 666 days in space. Astronaut Peggy Whitson will have hit a record, 666 days in space. Nothing weird about that. Dominic says, Jake the a-hole, I admire the guy. Yeah, somebody thought Dominic was Jake doing a voice. Just like some people think that Boogeyman is Tim Osman doing a voice. And he probably could fake that. He probably could do it. He does impersonations. He could deep fake as Richie from Boston convincingly. All right, we've talked about cannibal gangs, cannibal Satanists, falling planes. There's probably a lot more on that. There have been so many instances of planes falling, starting on fire, landing gears falling. It's like that movie, Leave the World Behind. This is a pretty good meme. No thanks, China. In this house, we only use American tech spyware. Because, of course, the partisan nature of things. If you're far right MAGA, you're against TikTok because it's China, but you're fine with Facebook or Google. We talked about Andrew Tate, who is selling some merchandise. Looks like Top G hoodies. Again, another one of these PR stunts. Like, I got to figure out how to get swatted convincingly. It's a good way to get traction. It's a good way to get sympathy, I guess, or agitate your base. Is that what they're doing? On 3/11, a New Mexico man contracted and died of the plague. The state's first recorded fatality from the disease since 2020. It's a public health agency announcement. So somebody caught the plague and died here locally on 3/11. Probably not a coincidence. It's like a holiday. That's Plague Day. It's Pandemic Day. Here's a twist. So Donald Trump was leaving the speech on January 6th, and his one of his aides there, Cassidy Hutchinson, said that Donald Trump grabbed the wheel of the beast and tried to steer it to the Capitol. And a Secret Serviceman has come out and said that no, actually, she was lying. So this kind of undoes a lot of the left's, I guess, argument that Trump was an insurrectionist. Breaking, the driver of the beast on January 6th testified to the committee that Trump never physically assaulted a Secret Service agent or lunged at the steering wheel when they refused to take him to the Capitol. So again, is she lying?
Strong, a very
She says Trump lunged at the wheel of the beast.
angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up.
Anyway, not a very compelling performance, and it's been contradicted. But are these facts? You have facts and alternative facts, like you have media and alt media. So we're just looking at here at alternative facts replacing the facts. Alt media is an alt reality game, just as the mainstream is. It's deeper in the game. This isn't a victory for the truth. This is just more confusion. And again, you can believe what you want to believe. It depends on what side of the aisle you're on. The Truth versus Alex Jones comes out in a couple of weeks. I'll keep you appraised of that. And appreciate the callers very much. We're going to start earlier tomorrow. I have to go pick up the books. The Autohoaxology 101 paperbacks have arrived, so I'm heading out there now. And I'll probably mention something about that in the newsletter. And we're going to start preparing for the promotional work that's going to go into it. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining. Have to take off now. This is Chief Crow and the Flat Earthworms Auto Hoax. Go to ips.monster and sign up for the newsletter. And thanks again for all of those of you who have signed up as members at the YouTube channel.
I'm on